I'm Nikki Fogden-Moore, and this is Super Leaders, the podcast, the playbook for peak performance in a world powered by AI, where we align human potential with a modern digital landscape for leaders at home and with your teams, giving you the tips, tools, and insights to create true sustainable success. The ultimate combination: healthy, wealthy, happy, and wise. Let's dive in.
Welcome back. This is Disrupt and Deliver with Heather and Nikki. Today we're talking about rethinking teams in the age of AI. Heather, welcome back for our microcast. I can't wait what you've been up to this week and how we can kind of integrate some of the learnings after our first episode together.
Awesome. I'm so excited to be here.
One of the things that we spoke about is what happens when AI, if you're listening to this, stops being a tool and becomes a part of your team. In these episodes, myself and Heather unpack how AI is reshaping the future and the structure of modern organizations, ones we work with, ones we're advising, and certainly the ones that are in that ecosystem. We're going to explore realignment of leadership in these episodes, how you look at talent and tech, and what it takes to really create high-performing teams where both of us love this alchemy of human potential and AI, where they can work hand in hand. So on this episode, specifically, we talk about redefining workflows in the industry, challenges and skill gaps, change fatigue, data integration. AI isn't replacing teams, it's rewriting what teams look like. So Heather, I cannot wait to talk about this. You can kick off. What's something you feel people keep saying to you, like, hold on, we need to reframe that?
Yeah. So one example I can give that just like hit me squarely between the eyes when I was talking to a young colleague that I work with. She said to me, Heather, I feel like I have dug my own grave. I create an AI agent that essentially does my job. And you could feel the concern and the worry that she had. But I said, well, wait a minute. Let's talk about your job. What are the skills required to do your job? And what are the tasks that you do on a day-to-day basis? So when we started to break it down, really what she started to realize through that conversation is like, oh, this is actually augmenting my work. It's not doing all of my tasks. Actually, it's enabling me to free up time to actually work on all those things that I've been wanting to work on and giving me some time to actually upskill myself to start to develop and hone some of those new skills that she's been wanting to develop. But because of headlines and so much that whether we're hearing it in organizations or you're reading it or you're seeing it on social media, there's a lot of fear. And it is totally understandable as a global society going through a massive change right now. There's a real opportunity to turn that fear, as you and I love to talk about, into what's the opportunity. There is a huge opportunity for all of us. So I use that example because it was just so palatable, like the way that she was sharing her fear. But by the end of the conversation, she was so excited and re-energized and she saw the opportunity. We all need to do that for each other right now.
Oh gosh, I mean, 100% great example. And what I'm talking a lot about at the moment, and I love that you reference this, augmentation. It's an alignment. And what are you doing with the time that you free up so you can get back to creativity, cognitive skills, relationship building? What's happened is that we've become such a reliant Ask Siri society or Ask Gemini that we're not using the fuel neuro capacity of all of our brains, all our magic, all our authentic kind of selves. So the stronger you can augment the stuff that isn't going to be fulfilling and make that an accuracy providing procedure, it gives you time to think about reframing what values and skills you're going to bring in. It's a very exciting time in the workforce. Leaders who cling to these old structures are going to miss the biggest shift in decades, but at the same time, so are new skills coming through universities, young workers that we're interviewing and mentoring. There is an opportunity like any revolution. It's just how you want to look at it, right? So wherein lies the opportunity with the time I'm freeing up on those mundane tasks to really bring more of myself, be more creative, get more involved, build deep relationships, all those things. This all sounds good. I've got one example of a incredible entrepreneur, 5.5 million turnover, hustling hard, beautiful team, she's also got a fitness business and she also has a photography business. We've just augmented all her systems. We've reduced the risk of inaccuracy. We've improved communications within the team. We've made all their workflow that was already existing just work better and created a whole dashboard. They have just gone and doubled their turnover. Like, with
Wow.
with the same staff, but the staff are happier. So we've put happiness as a metric on the P&L.
If we frame this as what's the opportunity, we're all getting an opportunity to upskill ourselves. Now,
Mm.
we're further along in our career, we have domain expertise. But when you take that domain expertise and you partner it with
Mm.
AI to really augment what we know and how we can share that knowledge further, I mean, it becomes a really powerful thing for others to realize the skills and the knowledge they have and pairing it with AI and how that can accelerate the productivity. You need to know how to use it the right way. This is where a lot of organizations are forgetting that, hey, we need to upskill everyone on AI, right? It's not just a select group of people, but we need to create that learning process for everyone. And actually, one of the things I really love this week was Jensen Huang, who's the CEO of NVIDIA, was talking about this, is that using AI to augment your domain expertise, but that there is delight in
Mm.
upskilling yourself and learning and being able to use yourself and all the things that you along with AI. Like there's nothing more exciting than that.
You're passing all that knowledge on.
Yeah.
In tech term, vectorizing, you've got a vector of all this knowledge. That's one of the things that is celebrating that knowledge. And if you can build it in an AI factory where it's protected, is going to allow a legacy of your experience.
100%. And it's about humans with AI. A lot of people are so focused on the tech and being AI first and then adding the human. We have the domain expertise, as Jensen said, we are the goal. It's us. It's a mindset shift and it's change management for ourselves and for others. So as leaders, it's an equal opportunity because guess what? We're all getting to go through it. There is no path that we're following here. We're all paving the road together and learning this side by side.
Could we just touch on a practical element for leaders who are looking at restructuring? I know that we've just created 3 different change management systems. One of them is really good at taking large amounts of information, putting that into a usable dashboard and going, is this quality content you want to take forward? How do we empower our staff? And we do a DNA strand version, which is every time there's a large amount of content that's an output, it's in draft until it crosses through a human input check. So there's an AI kind of process that takes all this information. It is a draft output until it's checked by humans. So that ownership, the ownership and sovereignty is just so exciting. But from an organizational structure, I wanted to say 3 tips. Anyone listening to this is be careful what you sign off when you've got people delivering solutions where really they're tools. If you don't have a strategy in your business of where you want your business to be in the next 12 months, 3 years, 5 years, that is the first thing that I make people do. Is it's the upfront, what does great look like? So it doesn't matter how you do your teams, digital versus human talent. That comes after, do you have a strong enough business strategy? I've become really dogmatic about, let's not worry about workflows and outputs until we know what outcome you want, because you could create a $5 million business in a year with 3 staff, yes, but what are the holistic strategic goals of your business? And then you can come back and go, is our money better spent giving our core staff with all that intellect better, deeper salaries, better working conditions? We retain everyone. We've got those natural kind of learners and the champions. Then we've got the people that just want to show up. They don't want to be bothered, because you've got to understand what lights everyone up, and it takes all sorts. But if you don't know what your success is for your business in a traditional strategic role, we're getting shiny object syndrome with all these AI solutions. That's what's worrying me.
I so agree with everything you said. What's interesting and what I'm seeing in organizations are people are getting really exhausted because companies have bought in on AI and they're trying to like peanut butter spread it across the organization. And they're not thinking about it as very specific use cases and what are the metrics that we're looking for. I'm seeing a lot of organizations who have started in sales and marketing
Mm,
because they typically have easier metrics to
mm,
look at, like email open rates or
yeah,
demos. How many demos
yeah.
have you done? When in fact, if we look at the back office, there's a huge opportunity there for organizations to really figure out how and where to bring AI. One of the things that's important is to narrow the number of use cases that you're doing. Don't peanut butter spread it, but actually think through and be very thoughtful, because it's exhausting. Because when it
Yeah.
doesn't work and the humans in the loop, humans are having to do, when you talked about all the content, if
Yeah.
it's not done right, humans are spending more time correcting than they would have if they had just done it from scratch and not using AI.
I-
So there is a time investment for tools to adapt and to be trained and to be operating properly, and training ourselves as to what we need to look for. And I say, like in engineering, yeah, you can use it to create base code, but what engineering tasks are changing is you're becoming more of a quality engineer because you're checking the code that AI created. You need to be looking at, is it saving me time, or is it actually costing me more time because I'm creating more edits because it's not quite up to where it needs to be. So these
100.
are things that we need to evaluate as leaders: is, are the tools working? Are they bringing productivity and efficiency? And if they're not, how do we adjust the use case so that we're really thinking about the fatigue that is happening with people trying to figure out how to use these new tools, and because we've got it spread too broad across too many different areas.
I would
Yeah.
say if anyone coming in to sell you an AI solution doesn't understand your strategic business needs of your overarching company, your vision for the future, your profit, people, purpose plans, and all the traditional things
Yeah.
that underpin the foundations of a SME to an enterprise level business, because without a strong strategy and foundation, you're going to build towers on quicksand. It is my number one quote. It's not just about implementing something, it's about sharing knowledge, navigating with a true north, and going, if we don't know what our strategy is for the next 5 years, that is a bit of a worry. At least have a 12-month milestone point of what great looks like holistically in your business, not just profit, but retention, number of staff. Is your business pivoting because of AI? Are your goods and services the same? Like, a real strategic sit down is required before you even do user cases, in my opinion.
You've brought up so many things in what you just said. One of the things that's sort of underlying all of that is trust and transparency. Like, that is so important right now, because all of these changes, we're human beings, right? And change can create fear. And right now we have this technology that is augmenting work that we do. In some cases, it's completely automating it. But organizations really need to spend more time, first of all, making sure that we're educating everybody on how to use AI. There was a report from MIT that came out, which many who are listening probably heard it, but it was basically 95% of Gen AI is not working. Only
Yeah.
5% of AI pilots are actually delivering business value. Part of this is that a lot of organizations are only training certain groups of people and not everyone on how to use this technology. Another interesting statistic that I read there that resonates with my hypothesis, which is companies have bought these subscriptions of different Gen AI products. 40% of companies have bought these subscriptions, yet 90% of employees are saying they're using Gen AI, which means that they're circumventing the approved, sanctioned enterprise products for using their own.
Yeah.
And I have a hypothesis on that, because we're humans. And if we're using the enterprise AI subscriptions, how are they using that information? Are they tracking my work? Are they looking at how many hours I'm working? Are they looking at how much time it's freeing up, and then using that to make decisions on workforce planning? And these
Yeah.
are things that I don't think organizations have thought all the way through. I don't think all organizations are bringing this in and trying to track people and do nefarious things with it. But if you're not talking about that, and if you're not empowering your leaders to have conversations with their employees about this, there is a level of fear, and there's a level of, I'm just going to use my own personal chat GPT account, or I'm going to use my own Perplexity to do my work, and then I'll bring it into the company. We know how dangerous that can be in terms of risk
Oh,
and compliance. And there's a lot that we need to be thinking through, but this stems from, what is the trust and transparency? And is it okay for them to raise their hand and say, hey, I have a question or I have a concern, and be able to bring it forward in a safe space? Because again, as we've talked about, we're all learning.
yeah.
And yet, in some cases, it may have a negative outcome if you raise your hand on
Yeah.
something.
If you're listening to this and this is resonating, please comment, because Heather and I read all the show notes, we read all the feedback. we read all the messages, and then we kind of plan where we can best add value and help you the most and provide some really practical tools and ask those uncomfortable but necessary questions. Nobody feels safe at the moment. So the companies that make their teams feel safe and share the fact that we're all pioneering and come in with that inclusive, I don't have it all figured out as a leader, but here's the next right step, will win every time. We need AI consultants to be more discerning and to take more responsibility for the effects of what they're advising companies to pick up,
Yeah.
because it should be sustainable, agile, and long term, and it needs to be safely accessed as well. So let's just come
Oh,
back
I know.
to the original focus of this one, which is AI is not replacing teams. We've got to rethink how your team is done. And we'll come back to your original case study. Let's call her Sarah. She's like, I've just built my digital twin and an agent, and now I don't feel like I have a job. And you talked her off the ledge and say, actually, you can bring more of yourself to work now. You can vectorize this within kind of AI factories that we're building. You can coach your whole team. It doesn't replace you. It allows you to focus on what matters most.
There's a messaging opportunity there. Unfortunately, there are headlines that actually are opposite of what we're saying, where there are organizations who are laying off people in favor of investing in AI. But there are companies who made really quick, rash decisions to let people go who are now realizing, the AI is not doing what we thought it was going to do. Actually, we need to bring some of those human beings back to do some of this work. With anything new when it comes to technology, it's about being thoughtful, it's about having a plan. And in my view, it's about thinking about human first. Like, what do we need to do for humans? And how do we bring humans together with AI? Because it's a beautiful collaboration when it's well thought through.
Love that.
Yeah.
And so, a couple of little takeaways from our episode today. Yes, there are large organizations that are laying off employees to create a natural room for increased productivity and profit with digital workforce. However, let's see how that pans out. Secondly, we want you to think about, do you have a clear business strategy? Are you enabling all your workforce to be across these conversations rather than gatekeeping your deployment and where you're at as an organization, so that you can improve inclusivity, improve transparency, educate when you're setting guardrails as to why it's important to protect data and what to upload, personal information integrity, client information integrity. The message of today's podcast, together with Heather, is about, walking side by side with your staff. You should be the leader, and you definitely need to give one step of certainty. This is not the time where it's, let's come in and bring your ideas, because right now I know a lot of staff just need to know the next right step from their leader. And
Yeah.
when you've got that clear strategy, then you can get input and involvement. Do it one step at a time. So have a clear vision, break that down into facts and stats, consider your current workflows, and then look at augmenting the quality of all that information and IP that exists in your organization and involving your human potential and your teams to feel valued and significant in that process.
Yeah. Beautifully said.
And if you really are
Mhm.
freaked out by this, please don't sit on your hands and just say yes because you don't know. More than ever, we have to ignite curiosity over fear. We have to look for transparent, trust building opportunities and find partnerships that are in there for the betterment of you and your business, where you can be in this side by side. That is a collaboration. I don't like the word consulting, because I feel like that sort of removes some ownership. You need to partner with people now where they bring their expertise in and they feel like your money is their money and your people are their people. It's definitely how we operate. I know Heather operates like that. We'd love to hear from you. Heather, should we just put one question back to the listeners?
My one question, and it really is stemming off of what you just said, which is, what is the one dumb question that you're afraid to ask? Ask us. There is no judgment here. And is, if anything, the dumber the better. Because
Yeah.
guess what? You're going to ask something that's actually not a dumb question. Someone else wanted to ask it and was too afraid to ask it. And how can we help you get over that hurdle? We're all learning together. And as you said, Nikki, let's be curious. Let's have fun with this, because we're in an exciting time, and that human AI collaboration can be very, very exciting. But let's work on this together.
I love that so much. And one last thing, water will always find the easiest path out, People will always find the easiest path and do something. We've got to strip back an evangelistic expectation that all your employees are going to be as entrepreneurial and as thorough. I feel like as founders and business owners, as you're listening to this, you're running the business for a reason. You're driving this business forward for a reason. Your DNA is going to make you the one that will have to be a couple of steps ahead. But just navigate that with a bit of truth. And if you share your vulnerability, you're just going to bridge that gap between yourself and your teams as well. So thank you so much for joining us. We loved having you listen. We hope you've had value. We're handing it over to you guys now to come back to us with your questions. We hope we're a shining example of collaborating with intellect and intent to really bring some goodness into business in this world. I'm Nikki Fogden-Moore.
I'm Heather Jerrehian.
Thank you so much, guys. See you next time.
You've been listening to Super Leaders, the podcast, the show where CEOs, founders, and elite thinkers decode what really works in leadership, life, and AI. I'm Nikki Fogden-Moore, and we're here to break through the hype and bring you raw, real conversations from beyond the boardroom. Keep your edge, train your mindset, and lead with purpose. Download the workbook and join our movement inside the Accelerate app on nikkifogdenmoore.com. Until next time, stay healthy, happy, wealthy, and wise.